Good morning and welcome to part 3 of full stack web application development using JSP, right? Now, what is a full stack web application development? Full stack web application development means having all the tools available at your disposal, right? So taking help from each and every tool, right? Full stack developer means you're not, dependent on anyone else. Like you're doing designing yourself, you're doing the JavaScript part yourself, right? You're doing the request and response part yourself, and you're doing handling each and everything that's meant to develop a nice and a very complex website, or maybe a medium to complex, or medium to complex website, and you're handling each and everything yourself. So that's what our job is, right? So before we get started with the design pattern, you all are maybe already aware of HTML and CSS. But yeah, unless we give shape and size, and unless we make that UI better, right, we're not going to enjoy the design, or we're not going to enjoy development unless the designing is better, right? And that is the first part. And second part, that we'll have to consider that without using JavaScript, nowadays web application development is not possible. So JavaScript has to be used up to the extent, right? And it has to be used for automation, like sending request and response. Not only JavaScript, we'll have to be using AJAX, which is asynchronous JavaScript and XML frequently. Alright, so today's lesson is all going to be about JavaScript and AJAX. So I'll give you the rough before I start developing the project. And we rather, not I, because I told you that you have to be synchronous, right? Please keep that sync. Develop it with me rather than keeping 4-5 parts, and now once they assemble part number 1, part number 2, part number 3, and you'll say, okay, let us do all 3 parts together after 4 days and 5 days. So it's going to be too much of job, left for maybe 2 days, or you're deliberating is not going to help in project development, right? It's going to be, at the end of the day, you're going to assemble too many lectures that you'll find it very you'll be lethargic, or you'll be lazy to complete them, right? So rather than keeping it for tomorrow, it's better to complete it today and keep your sync with me, right? So we'll not be starting, we'll be practicing first and then integrating AJAX with the project, right? I hope you've understood. Let's quickly get started and I'll give you the overview of what we have done so far. Taken, right, header apart, taken footer apart, right, and included header and footer in the profile page, and included header and footer in the index page. And I said that we are going to require a wrapper. A wrapper is something that is going to wrap up every single thing. So I repeat, a wrapper is going to wrap up every single thing available within, right? So now once you are starting the wrapper here, and you are closing the wrapper section here in the footer, which means that now whatever you write here will come in between. It's going to be inside the wrapper section, right? So now if I write here, and now if I go and view the page source, you can see here is coming inside the wrapper section, which is very important. Alignment is very important for usability, right? So in pursuit of reusability, we should not disturb the user interface or the presentation logic of the web applications. Very necessary, right? Otherwise, what I could do just for the sake of developing, I could develop a single page, but I did not, because I do not want to jeopardize your learnings, right? So I want to inculcate right and possibly professional things within your brains, rather than we can say kaam chalao things, right? So you'll also be you have to consider that, right? Said we'll be doing difficult things to make things easy. All right, so let's get started. Now today is going to be only the demo, right? For example, if I make a form here, so it's not the final thing that I'm making. For example, if I have a form, so on this form we'll have an action. We know this stuff, right? Form has an action and form has a method as well, which is either get or post. Get is loaded by default, and we know that. So let's say input, so we have one input type is equivalent to text, right? And let's give it ID. I'll give it ID and I'll give name both. ID is required for JavaScript here. You can call by name as well, so there's no problem in calling by name as well, so that is also possible. I can say ID is equal to txt name, and the name is equal to txt name, right? Okay, so now here also you have to find conventional naming. So in HTML it's preferable to write like this. Okay, fine. So let me go with input type submit, and I'll close it. As you know that input type submit does not require any explicit we can say event handling, so it does automatically, right? So now you can see right here, okay, so we are getting an NIID. Now if I have to print it, NIID, I submit. Now you can see the form takes the round term, right? So it takes the round trip, right? If I say NIID, it takes the round trip and comes back. So what is happening? Post is happening. Now after having the submit button, right, what you can do right here, we are already aware of these things. This is called as server-side scripting. So we are already aware. I can say if request dot get method is equivalent to post. Only when it is post, you do one thing, out dot print, right? Print request dot get parameter sorry, request dot get parameter, which is the parameter. What parameter are we looking for? We're looking for a parameter with name, or maybe, yeah, name. By name, you're calling it by name here. Okay, fine. So you know this, so I don't have to tell you. Get, it's nothing is executed. Once you post, you are getting the printout here. Now, can I do something? Can I do this with client-side scripting, or can I achieve the same using client-side script, right? So that is what my main aim is, to achieve the same, right, using client-side scripting, right? So client-side script, we already have JavaScript included. Right, so we have that JavaScript now, and before we move with jQuery, because we also imported that jQuery file, if you remember, right, in JS folder we already have this jQuery. Alright, so we're not going to take help from this jQuery as of now, but yeah, it may be required later on. Fine, so let's get deleted. Let's delete this. And one more thing that I want to tell you, that submit button is not only going to do event handling. For example, if I have input type button here, okay, now if I carry on, now we know that this is not going to do anything, right? Value is equivalent to, let's say, submit, right? So I'll keep the value as submit. You already know this. If I write an ID now, it's not going to submit it because I have to create an extra or explicit event handler, right? So I can say on click. This is also known to you, right? So I'm not going to show you something different today, but yeah, it's very necessary to start from here. So I can say JavaScript submit. I want to submit the form whenever the button is clicked. Now you can see the button is doing the same thing, but not everything. For example, if I want, now you can see that button is not only doing that, even if you can say I'm hitting enter without pressing the button, even enter is doing the thing, right? So that's where we require it. And now if I don't have the form, right, what is it going to submit? Nothing. So for submission we require a form, right, and we require input type submit. If not input type submit, then input type button. Then you will say if button requires explicit event handling. Why is it required? Then why do you even have it, right? Why does even HTML have button? If submit is sufficient, then why having a button? So you'll get an answer for that also. So what I'll do, I'll just delete this, and I'm going to delete this as well. So now I do not have any form. I have input type text and I have input type button, right? Let me have, instead of submit, now you will get answer for everything, right? Even answer for the questions that I know you have, but you have never answered them. Not answered, sorry, asked them, right? Now if I click submit, nothing is happening because you don't have any form and you have button. Despite, even if you have input type submit, yet nothing is going to happen because you do not have form, right? So in order to make sure that submit button is submitting the request, right, and submitting whatever is inside the form to the page itself, to the web container, right? So it should have a form, right? Because you're required to define the method and everything. So right, you know, even having a button is not going to help you without a form. So submit button, we can say input type submit is going to only help when you have when this submit button is inside an HTTP or inside an HTML form, right? So I'll keep button and show you the difference between submit and button without using any form right here. So let me go downstairs. There are two ways. Either I can do this script type is equivalent to, I can say script type is equivalent to text slash JavaScript, right? That is point number 1 without using any. And always imagine script is not a self-closing tag, right? Even if you are referencing any script file, still it's not a self-closing tag. Script is never ever a self-closing tag, right? And now I go and create a function. I'll say I'm creating a function. I name it function login, for example, or function register register. Now this is the function, right? And I'll say alert, and I'll just plain alert it, right? Now this is client-side script. What is the difference between server-side script and client-side script? Now you can say the client-side script runs from the browser, and that's why client-side script is downloaded to the browser. You can clearly see the source code of your file has the JavaScript and it has every single thing. So this script is downloaded to the browser, and once I click on this submit button, the script is going to execute from the browser rather than taking the request to the server and server giving a response. No, it's going to run it from the browser, right? So that's why we call it client-side script, not server-side script, right? Server-side script is going to solve the business logic and give, and server is going to render the web page and give output as HTML, which is not the case here. The case here is completely different, right? It's downloaded to the browser, run from the browser. So now, for example, I want this button on click, so I can see on click. It's better to write JavaScript, even if you don't write it, so it still will work, but it's better. I can say JavaScript, go to register function, right? So now on click, I'm calling this register function without even submitting. Now you can see alert is happening. Now you can see easily alert is happening, right? Without any issues, right? And now what I can say right here, I can say variable. I'm declaring a generic type variable. Generic means it does not have any sense, right? It's a plain raw string. Generic, right, or generic is what you call. Pronunciations differ. Generic, call it generic or call it generic. By the way, generic looks much better than generic, right? So it's a generic type, and I'll say if var is equivalent to, I want to grab the text of this input type text, right? So I want to grab whatever is inside this input type text. I want to grab it and eventually display it on the screen, or maybe display it here, inside the alert. Okay, let me say it is going to be document. It's plain, JavaScript. So there's nothing new. So I'll say document document dot get element by ID. E is capital, B is capital, and I is capital. It's case sensitive. And what is the ID? Because you're getting by ID. You can get by class, you can get by name, but since you're getting by ID, I'll type txt. Name is the ID here, so I'm getting it by ID. So I can clearly say alert, right? This var name, and the name. So this is the type of variable, which is generic type, and name is basically taken as a keyword here. That's why the color changes. So I can say val, right? So val is also taken as a keyword. So I'll say we can say something like text, text. Okay, text val. Text is also a keyword, so I'll say text val. No, it's not getting, the color is not changing because of that. If I say ABC, will change the colors. Yeah, fine. So I'll say name. So var name is equivalent to document.get element by ID. So now we are getting it. I can directly alert it. Okay, so that's also understood. So for all the things, very simple, you know them, right? But once you say document.get element by ID, you're getting an object. What do you want? I will say I want dot value, right? So I want a value of this input type text. So now you can see I'm not getting anything. Value is a function, so I'll have to use it as a function, right? So I'm getting it blank, nothing in here. So I'll say NIID. Now I should get NIID. Why? What happened? So let me see. Document.get element by ID, which is txt name, right? So document.get element by ID, txt name dot value, right? So we should be able to get it. Why aren't we getting it? So let me refresh and see what are we doing. We are getting blank. Where is txt value? Input type text, txt name, document dot get element by ID, txt name, and it's also here txt name dot value. I want to get the value inside it, right? Or you can even type right here, I want to get name dot not value, maybe you can say inner HTML, whatever is inside it. So we may target inner HTML as well, but you never know. Undefined, so inner HTML, why isn't it coming? What happened? Dot, I can say I want to get dot value, maybe we'll get dot value here. We're getting undefined. Why are we getting undefined? Alert name is document dot get element by id txt name text2. Let me see this with dot val dot values is basically fine. It should be able to give us the value. Document dot get element by id. Maybe name is causing problems, so I'll say end, and I can say document dot get element by id. It should give me an object. Object is fine if it gives an object. Yeah, HTML input element. So I'll say dot inner HTML. It does not have inner HTML, so I'll say dot value. Now value should work. Let me refresh. Maybe it's cached or something. Value should be able to give me. Let me pause and come. Look at what we are doing here, right? We're calling the function register, right? So once we click, whenever we click on this button submit, it's going to call the function register, and we are alerting n, and n has nothing in it. Why? Because why are we taking the value outside the function? So that is an error. We're taking the value outside the function. Now once I take it, txt name dot value, right? Even I tried single quotes, double quotes. Single quotes and double quotes are same in JavaScript. So I'll say document dot get element by id name dot value. Now because it was outside the function, so my mistake, my apologies. Now you're getting an IIT, and you can do it by either this way or n dot value, or you can do it this way, and then you can do normal alert like this way. So this is, I suppose you already know this, right? So what I want to show you a more sophisticated manner, or the more sophisticated way. For example, let's say now we have a div here, and imagine none of this is a part of project. It's just part of practice before we start integrating it practically. So I'll say div style padding 10 pixels. All right, so I have given it div style is equivalent to padding of 10 pixels. Width, why am I doing inline styling? Because it is not permanent, I have to delete it just for learning purpose, right? Okay, now since we have a div here, right, now absolutely fine. Okay, now what I got to do is, instead of, let me give this div an id, I'll say display div. So I can say this is display div, right? And I'll go here, and instead of alerting, so I can say, right, document dot get element by id, which is our div display dot inner HTML is equivalent to n. I want to set whatever input I'm getting, I want to set it as an inner HTML for this, right? So I can go ahead and type an IIT, and I can say that we are getting the object here, right? So because we have to say document dot get element by id, which is going to be n. Either you can type n dot value here, or you can take value here as well, right? So now let us refresh and say we are typing NIT, and NIT is coming here. This is without refreshing the page. Why? Because here we are taking document dot get element by id display, and then you're calling this, and then you're calling this. Now you can see, even if you don't want to take value here, you can directly take value here. Alright, you can take value here as well, or you can define both of them like this. So we'll say, right here I can say var L is equivalent to, or we can say var div is equivalent to document, and var text, text is equal to this, right? So I'll not say dot value, right? Now I can say right here div dot inner HTML is equal to text dot value, so which is also possible. So this is also possible. I don't know when this will work. Yeah, it's working. It's also possible, right? You can see it's absolutely working. And this is the old school, right, thing. So this is how we used to do older days once JavaScript came. So it's completely obsolete for my liking, right? And now what I will do right here, I will upgrade and do the same, but I'll upgrade it to jQuery, right? And I will not call this button. Let's not do anything. No JavaScript for HTML, so let's not call this. Keep it simple as anything. Input type is button, and I can rather say ID of the button is equal to btn submit. Now I will use jQuery here. I will say, hey, wait a second, dollar. Always we start jQuery and AJAX with $sign. I'll say dollar dot, right? And I will say I am calling a function which is click. So dollar dot click, and inside the parameter you can say anything that happens after the click, but inside the parameter here I will create a function parameter. Inside the parameter I'm creating a function, so I'll say dollar dot click function. That means this is going to be a click function, or you can create a specific click function. For example, dollar, and I'll call hash, or this is pound in programming, so I'll say pound btn submit. The ID is pound btn. If it's class, then I'll say dot. So pound btn submit dot click. So whenever the btn submit is clicked, right, inside click, what do you want? I want to pass a function, right, and function has braces. I'll close it down right here. Let us expand it. Now I'll say alert. Now see how magical it is. And do you think it will work? Never ever. It's not going to work. Why isn't it going to work? Because no, it's going to work because we have included JavaScript. jQuery is working, I suppose. Yeah, so I'll click on jQuery. Yeah, so it should work because jQuery is included. And yeah, no statement, no dollar statement is going to work without the jQuery file. So you'll have to remember this for all of your life. So no, not even a single statement is going to get executed, right, without this. So jQuery statements require jQuery file. So now then we know that jQuery is here. It should work. So dollar submit button, it is pound submit sbtn. It should be su. I spelled it wrong, btn. Okay, spelling is right now. So I'll say pound btn submit dot click function, right? And this is, I done something wrong here, so let me do it again. Dot click, and inside click I create a function, and function has braces. I will say alert, right? So this should work, and I'll terminate this as well. It should work absolutely fine. I should be able to get alert. So I'll have to check the jQuery file. Maybe I've used some wrong jQuery file. Okay, so let me see this. I have some other here. Okay, maybe I'm using a wrong jQuery file here. So let me go to JS. I have this jQuery here. I copy this jQuery file and I will take it to JS and see. Right, so it is going to be, I'll delete this newer one, older one. So let me delete it and call this file as jquery. So now this is my jQuery.js. So let me refresh it and get rid of all the caching and see, yeah, it's working. So we had error in JavaScript file. Now you can see it's easily working, right? So now you're calling btn submit from the script and say whenever btn submit gets click, and you see we have done nothing here, nothing exactly. So whenever btn submit gets click, please hit alert. Or what we can do is I can say dollar. I am calling now. We have this display div. We can call the display div directly. I can say hash display div dot click whenever not click. So I'll say dot value. So you can set the val, right? And what is the val? I'll say hello. So whenever you click on submit button, display div set the text of display div as hello. So now let's see whether it works. I click, no, it's not the val, because div is HTML container. So div is not going to take val, I suppose, or maybe it should take. So let me see. No, it's basically not going to take val. It is going to take text, right? Display div is going to take text, I suppose. Yeah, it's taking text. Now you can see the text is coming easily. If you want to take that text as an input, you can directly say, you will say var name is equal to, again use $sign and pound, because I am calling now the input type text id. If it is class, you can say dot. I'll say txt name dot value. Give me the val, means the value which is inside this txt name, and it goes to this txt name, and I say div dot text the name itself. All right, so let's do this. Now you can see you are getting it easily, right? And now you'll say, sir, what is the fun of using jQuery here? You'll come to know, right? Updations are they're always beneficial, and they have something, because updations do mean that we're having something that previous versions do not. Is that understood? Okay, let's carry on. And now what I'm going to do right here, I can say, for example, dot fade in. I want txt name to fade in, and fade in for 500 milliseconds. Now let's take 500 milliseconds. I will say hello, and you can say hello fades in. All right, you can say, but wait a second, it doesn't fade in. Does it look like fading in? No, because to fade in, first you have to fade out. I repeat, in order to fade in, you have to fade out. What will I do? Whenever you click on this button, I will say, hey, wait a second, I need to hide it. Right? So what will I do? I will hide the display div. Right? It's going to be display, hide means display none. Right? So I'm hiding the display div. It's not visible at all. As soon as you click the submit button, it's not visible at all. Right? And now only when you enter, when you click the submit button, it's going to hide, and then it's going to fade in. Why do I hide it? Because fade in requires faded out. Once you have something that's already been displayed, how is that going to fade in? Because it's already there. To fade in, you have to fade it out first. That's why I say hide. Once it's hidden, now it's slowly going to come. So let me practically see. Yeah, you can see now fade in. This is only possible in JavaScript, right? So fade in, you can even increase the millisecond duration. Now you can see. Yeah, it's coming slowly. Now you can see it's coming slowly, right? And now that's why first you fade out, only then you'll be able to fade in when you fade out certain different things. Now, because I am using an input type button, will I be able to use enter? For example, if I write Fahim and I hit enter, nothing is going to happen if I hit enter. Why? Because input type button doesn't give us luxury of using submit button. Now if I change input type button to input type submit, SUBMIT, will I be able to use enter now? Does that mean I'll be able to use enter? Still I'm not able to use enter. To use enter, what you require is to keep it inside a normal form tag, right? Now you will say, if I keep it inside a form tag, so it is going to, page is going to get refreshed. Yeah, absolutely. Hit page is getting refreshed. You can see get parameter is passed. Yeah, enter is used, but the purpose is lost. Purpose is doing client side scripting, doing fade in, right? But enter has started working, but the purpose is lost. Why? Because it's submitting the form to web server, which is not our intention. It should not do that. And now to cope up with that, what you do at the end of this submit button click function, you type return false, right? So if you are returning false to submit button click, whenever you return false to this button, right, it's not going to submit the form to web server. The form submission will stop as soon as you return the form. Now you can see an ID. I hit enter. Now it starts working. Enter. It starts working. You can see I don't click the button. Button is here. You can see my cursor is here. And now hit enter. It works. So you can see NIIT Srinagar and I hit enter, it has started to work. So this is how we are handling client-side things, right? So it's as simple as anything. Let me take a look at the timing so that we can carry on. We still have 10 minutes left. Now it's about client-side scripting. It's not only about client-side scripting, or it's not always about client-side scripting. We'll have to execute from client-side script. What if I tell you I want to execute a server-side script without even refreshing? Let's say about, I'm telling you that without refreshing the page, I don't want to refresh my page here. Without refreshing the page, I want to check my username and password is genuine, or I want a registration form, right, wherein I register everything and the form is not refreshed, right, and it gives me input and output without refreshing the page. Is it possible that from the scenes, behind the scenes, will I be able to let the script execute the server-side code, right? Because they are DOM elements here. So will I be able to execute server-side elements because the script is downloaded? So if yes, if I am able to download, or if I am able to execute server-side script from client-side script, is it going to be secure enough so that we'll be doing it without any problems, right? And if secure, what is the security risk, right? And many things that we have to take care of, and I'll show you a very small demonstration before I wind up today's class. So we know that in we have two different ways. For example, let me get rid of this all. So we have only function, which is going to be called whenever I click the submit button, or now I hit enter. No, I still have to return false. Why return false? Because I don't want form submission. This is only done, right? I'm doing it only to make enter work, right? Otherwise, you don't need anything in the form. And neither do you require a submit button, right? So, because in case you are developing something, we are in habit of hitting enter key instead of hitting buttons. Yeah, that's also possible. Now, I'll show you a very small demonstration of executing server-side script from client-side script, right? For example, we have this folder components here. Can you see this? Yeah, so components, I'll create a new JSP file, and I name this as test, right? So I name this as test.jsp, and I'll open scriptlets, and what I do right here, I will say complete server-side script. So I'll say num1 is equivalent to 100, right? And what is this num1? I'll say int num1, or let me create string, so not in. I will say string name is equivalent to NIIT, as simple as anything, and then I say out.println, right? I'll say name. So you got to do, what you got to do is print name, right? So now this is this is here, and this is completely server-side script, right? Because it's inside scriptlet, and it's a JSP file. JSP file means it's a server-side file, right? So now let us do one thing. Go to index.jsp and do something like this. I will say whenever you click on the button, first do one thing, grab it. I'll say dollar, right, pound, what is the name? TXT name. Grab the text from TXT name, right? Or let's not do this, so let me simply go and show you post. Now we are doing post. We have two methods, post and get. I'll call $.post. This is the old method, then I'll show you the AJAX, which is the new one. So post takes how many parameters? Now you can clearly see the moment I go with post. So let me show you $.post. It takes URL. Where do you want to post the data? It takes the data you want to pull, and it gives you a success function. So I will use post function, right? And I say the URL that I want to go to is components, and inside components I have test.jsp. Right, so we have this test.jsp. I want to go to components and go to test.jsp, which is right here. And the second thing that I want to do is I want to pass data, and data, this is how we pass the, let me expand and close it. This is how we pass data, right, after the comma. Or you can even take data here only. So I want to pass any data. So if there is any data I want to pass. If there is no data, so no problem, don't pass any data. And third parameter is the function, and this is what the function is returning you back. This is something that function is going to return back to you. So let me close it like this. Now see, $.post takes three parameters. One is the URL, another is data. Data is blank, we're not sending any data, and third is function and option. Let me call this option here, right? And what is this option? You are going to this function components test.jsp. Are you going? Yes, you are going to components test.jsp. Now this function is going to return whatever test.jsp returns. Now this post is going to take a request to test.jsp, which is right here, and test.jsp returns out.println name, right, which is NIIT. Understood? And this option is going to carry something that this returns, right? The file test.jsp returns. And now what I do, I'll say alert what the file is going to give me. So that is option. And to check for errors, right, and in order to check errors, for that we'll say right click, inspect element, and for that we'll go to console, right? So 404 not found. Okay, it's favicon error, so we don't mind this. So let me hit enter. No error, right? I'll click submit button, and we're getting 404 not found. Okay, double P, my mistake. Now you can see that console has shown you that 404 not found, right? This is not found, right? Now let me try again. I'll click on submit button, and I get NIIT. Now where am I getting this NIIT from? A very basic question. I'll say, okay, where am I getting this NIIT from? Did I refresh the page? No, I did not refresh the page. Look at here. I am not refreshing the page, yet I am getting this NIIT. And who is giving me this NIIT? The NIIT is coming in this option. I'm printing this option, and it is coming from this test.jsp, right? So this is the file test.jsp right here, and it is printing this. Now can I pass parameters? Yes. If you want to pass parameters, I shall be very happy showing you. Now you can say var name is equal to, oh sorry, look what I do. I'm in haste. Var name is equal to dollar and call the pound. What is the button name? txt name is the ID. I'll say txt name dot val. I want to get val, right? Okay, now since we are getting the value, and the value goes directly to name, and I send name as, so this is name, and you send it as, what do you send it as? Assignment. This is what you are assigning. This is the name, and the variable to which you are assigning, I'll say capital name. So this you are assigning to capital name. That means test.jsp will call the post parameter. This is post parameter by capital name. I repeat, its assignment takes from right hand side to left hand side. Name will contain whatever is in here once you go to test.jsp. Which method are you using? Post. Now I can directly go to test.jsp and say, hey test.jsp, string name will be, it is going to be request request dot get parameter, and that parameter is name. As simple as anything, right? So now will I be able to get it? Of course, right? So I'll say NIIT, and I click on submit, you get NIIT. If I say FAHIM and I click on submit, you get, and look how fast it's coming, and look, it's not refreshed. Page is not refreshed. Behind the scenes it's happening, right? So this is happening behind the scenes, right? Are you happy now, right? Or you can say, sir, I don't want to alert it, right? The response that I'm getting back is not meant to be alerted. Would you be able to do something else with this? I'll say, yeah, why not? I'll be able to do everything that you call. And your call is, I want $pound, the name of the div that I want to display it. So I'll say pound display div dot text. I want to display it as a text. What? Option. What is option? Option is not option. You can say anything. Like you can say data, and then this is something, a parameter that you get, that this file is going to give you back, and you can echo data right here, and you can execute it. It is going to run as good as anything. Now let me refresh and say, right, let me call Mamoon. Okay, so we are getting Mamoon. But where are you getting this Mamoon from? It's coming from behind the scenes. Post is happening, every single thing is happening, right? And you can also say dot fade, right? To fade in, you know that you have to first hide it and then use fade in, right? Now what if I send it something like this? I go to test.jsp, I say name is equal to, I'll say, let me concatenate. I will use bold tags here, and I will concatenate using bold tags. You please give me bold tags, right? All right, so now we are going to get bold tags in here. So let me type NIIT, and you can see I'm getting B. Oh, what am I getting? Okay, fine. What am I doing here? We're doing display.text. We'll change it .text to .html because you were setting plain text to display div. Now you are setting HTML to display div. Now let me try again. Yeah, bold, Mamoon, right? Now you can see that you are getting it nicely, and you have been able to execute the server-side script from the client-side script and nothing. You can see here, right? And now in the next class, yeah, there are security measures, and the next class I'll be trying to cover security measures, and then we'll quickly start developing a registration module using AJAX. And we are not going to use, this is also old school, but yeah, in case you understand, just for making you understand and for the sake of class, I'm showing you this, right? But do practice very hard. You are getting a Sundays off also, so you're getting a day off also, so please practice very hard, and let me know down in the comment section if you face any problem, or you can message me directly. Until then, I wish you all the very best. Do practice very hard, and remember, you promise to be in sync with me. Bye bye, take care.